Hi, my name is Joellyn Fox, and I am from the Dan Aaron Parkinson's Rehabilitation Center. In my presentation, I'll be talking about the how and the why of breathing. In this talk, we will review how to engage the muscles of breathing and understand why this is important when exercising and during daily functional activities. I would like to start with some self-reflection. Has anyone ever reminded you to breathe? This might have been a physical therapist during exercise, a friend or a family member when walking with you, or standing by your side when getting up from a chair, for example. The second question to reflect on is if and when you have ever felt short of breath. Immediately, you may think, well, yes, of course, when I exercise. But also consider those periods when you've been, say, wearing off from your medication, or when anxious or stressed. Some people with Parkinson's disease do experience shortness of breath as a symptom of their disease. But it is important to note that shortness of breath can be caused by other conditions and should be evaluated by a doctor. So be it something that someone's reminded you to do or something that you have felt, do you understand anatomically and mechanically what's happening when we breathe? Well, it's the how of breathing, and it involves our diaphragm, our intercostal muscles, and our rib cage. The process of breathing actually involves several chest muscles, but most notable is the diaphragm. The diaphragm, as pictured to the left, is located below the lungs and is the major muscle of respiration. It's large and it's dome-shaped, and we will learn how it works together with the intercostal muscles, which are the muscles that lie in between the ribs, connecting them together as shown in the picture on your right. Our big talking point on this slide, though, is the rib cage. Our ribs create a cage through their connection to the spine at the back and the breastbone at our front. You can imagine that the bigger the cage is, the more the lungs, which sit above the diaphragm, can fill. Poor posture and shoulder or back problems can restrict the movement of your rib cage and impact your breathing. So let's do a flexibility check and see where we are. Sitting here right now, uncross your legs and sit with your tallest posture that you have. Now, are you able to raise both of your arms straight up to the ceiling without leaning back to help them out? This is a check for your range of motion at the shoulders. Now, relax your arms down. Are you able to rotate your upper body to look over your shoulder at least a 45-degree angle without your bottom twisting around? Try it to one side, come center, and now try it the other side and center. By just taking that small amount of time to stretch and reset your posture, you have set yourself up to take a more optimal breath. And how do we breathe? Let's find out. The ribs, intercostal muscles, and diaphragm all play important roles in breathing. When we inhale, the intercostal muscles contract. And by contracting, they pull the rib cage upwards and outwards so that it expands. The diaphragm as well contracts, and it pulls downwards. The lung volume increases, and the air pressure inside decreases so that air is pushed into the lungs. When we exhale, the external intercostal muscles relax, and that pulls the rib cage downward and inward. Our diaphragm also relaxes, and it moves back upwards, and our lung volume decreases such that the air pressure inside increases, so that pushes the air out of the lungs. Shallow breathing limits the diaphragm's range of motion, so the lowest part of the lungs don't get their full share of oxygenated air, and that can make you feel short of breath and anxious. Deep abdominal breathing encourages full oxygen exchange, which is beneficial in its trade of incoming oxygen for outgoing carbon dioxide. And this can slow our heartbeat and stabilize or even lower our blood pressure. So poor posture can also limit the movement of the diaphragm. So give yourself a postural check again. Where are you? Set yourself up. And let's practice taking a deep breath together. I would like you to inhale through your nose, feeling that rib cage expand and those lungs fill with air. And now exhale through pursed lips. Did you feel those ribs come together, that diaphragm come back up? Let's do that one more time. Inhale through your nose, feel your rib cage expand. Try not to heave your chest upward. And exhale, let it all contract together. Now, let's bring your shoulders forward, rounding out your back. Slump that posture. I want to see bad posture. Take a breath in through your nose now and exhale. Do that one more time. Inhale and exhale. Pull that posture back up. Correct it. Sit taller. Feel stronger. Let's take a deep breath in again. Feel that difference and exhale. It's a big difference. And let's keep that in mind and hold our tall posture, because now we're going to dive in and talk about our breathing when we exercise. When exercise gets intense, we tend to hold our breath as a way to get extra strength out of the core. And that's not a good thing. We need regular oxygen to feed our muscles. This is why we breathe heavily and consistently while doing aerobic exercise such as running, swimming, and walking. There is risk of muscle cramping, dizziness, even hernia if we cut off that oxygen to our bodies. So let's take our practice of breathing and apply it to the different modes of exercise that research supports as beneficial for those living with Parkinson's disease so that oxygen can feed those muscles. In strengthening exercises, we apply resistance to movement, which might be our own body weight or an external source of resistance like a dumbbell, a weighted machine, or a medicine ball. Muscles move concentrically, meaning that they shorten, and they move eccentrically when they lengthen. We load most muscles and focus on maximizing contraction during that shortening phase. But we should also be controlling that elongation phase in order to keep that muscle active and still working. Utilizing your breath by exhaling into the contraction, that shortening, and focusing on your movement into the elongation on the inhale is what you should be thinking of doing. So for example, in a bicep curl, as pictured here, you want to have your posture to set over your rib cage for success. Arms by your side. You take a deep breath in, and on that exhale, you bring that dumbbell towards your shoulder. The bicep is contracting and shortening, and as you inhale, you lower that arm down. When doing an abdominal crunch, as also pictured here, form is key with the arms out to the side and that rib cage nice and open to prepare to take that deep breath. And when you take that deep breath in, you're preparing for movement, and on the exhale, you're contracting, shortening your abdominals, bringing yourself into flexion. That inhale, you should be focusing on your control and not just going fast as you lower down. In aerobic exercise, breathing is much more consistent, but I challenge you to think of your earlier flexibility check and focus on your posture when you're doing aerobic exercise in order to maximize good quality breathing. In balance exercises like Tai Chi and flexibility exercises like yoga, breath is a major component of the exercise itself in order to bring relaxation and also to avoid feelings of stiff, tight muscles, and also reduce anxiety. When you are performing these exercises, do a self-assessment. Is your breath shallow or deep? Is it rapid or is it steady? And try to focus on keeping that control. To get better at taking consistent breaths, well, guess what? It takes practice. So continue to think of it as you're practicing your exercise. But now we're going to switch gears. And we're going to think of our breathing when we're doing our day-to-day activities that may have become more challenging now because of Parkinson's disease. A common complaint I hear in my clinic is difficulty rolling in bed and getting out of bed, especially in the morning when the body feels stiff and you have not yet taken your Parkinson's medication. I bring breathing into the practice to improve movement all of the time. For example, if you're lying on your back and you want to roll onto your side, I practice with individuals to bend both knees up, bring your feet flat on the bed, take a deep inhale, and when you exhale, you're focusing on an exaggerated reach because just like strengthening exercises, your muscles are contracting and you're gaining more power as you roll over to your side. Standing up from a chair, for example, can be difficult at times. Often I have observed when people are not successful at their first attempt, they may immediately try again until they are successful, often holding their breath or moving in small, fast motions. The next time when you get out of a chair, I would like you to try to correct your posture, come to the edge of that chair, take a deep breath in, and on that exhale, push through your arms as you're leaning forward and coming to stand with greater power in the legs and greater balance and confidence. Once in standing, for some individuals, it can be difficult to take that first step. You may even feel stuck. This may also be triggered by small spaces or changes in flooring. Think of your breathing then to bring relaxation. Focus on your posture. Remember, breath is power, so take it and use it. Thank you so very much for your time and attention. I'm looking forward to seeing you for our next fitness break on strength and coordination.